All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining in, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who has joined this live session. And this is an amazing time to be. My name is Rahul, and I have been with Quest a couple of years now. And I lead and execute global projects for ExxonMobil, BPM COE. And today I have the privilege of sitting down here and talking to one of the great minds in Quest, I think. All right. So it's not every day that you get to sit and have this opportunity, right? And why shouldn't I be excited? Why shouldn't I be excited to talk to somebody who has so much to give, so much to inspire, so many stories to tell? And I had this privilege. I would again use the word as privilege because since the last few weeks that we have interacted, it's really an eye opener for me to know you as a person, to know the stories that you had in your entire journey of life from a very humble beginning to where you are. So, on that note, I think everybody, please welcome Mr. Shrikant Naik. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking your heart out. First of all, congratulations on the award for the top 100 people managers in India. So that's really amazing, and that's one of the feather in your cap. I mean, you that would be that would be something that we can also talk about later. But yeah, thank you so much for joining in, and thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking to me. And today's topic or today's discussion is probably how to build high performance teams. So, Shrikant, just can you tell me about or tell our audience about the first 5 years of your journey in Quest? I think people would want to know. There are so many new hires joining in and so many tenured folks. So I think they would be interested to know how you started.
Yeah, thank you, Rahul. Appreciate your kind words. Um, very happy to be here, along with you and all the audience, Rahul. It's been a great journey for last 22 and a half years in Quest Global. You asked a very important question and very emotional question for me because in 2001 when I started. Um, the Quest Global, at that point, I mean, it was just Quest, was a small entrepreneurial organization, less than 100 people um, across US and India. And today we have really grown multifolds to close to 17,500 people globally, truly global organization, about 18 countries, 40 nationalities. It's amazing to see how we can grow. But at the same time, as Ajit says, the best of Quest is yet to come, right? So I think we have just begun our journey, and lot of young people, new people who have come here, so who has the ability to take this organization, institution to a much bigger, greater level, and I'm very happy about it, and very excited, as well. So we are in a very a point of inflection, so to speak, pre-billion dollar to post-billion dollar, and so on and so forth. So I think I'm very excited. And coming back to your question, first 5 years, how did I start? Um, uh, you know, as you know, Rahul, I was teaching in the university before joining Quest,
Yeah, yeah.
and Ajit wanted to have a kind of an industry institution interaction, for that matter,
Mhm.
create the engineering pool required by the industries. So
True.
that means kind of a finishing schools for the students while they were graduating in the college and university
Right,
itself.
right.
And I came to Quest Global to lead that particular activity, and it's been a great start, for that matter. And the first 5 to 10 years of my journey, I would like to give a kind of a analogy of a sport, for that
Okay.
matter,
Uh-huh.
right? So when we are young, all of us played a lot of sports,
Absolutely.
right? All of us for sure. And then in India, it's cricket, which is everybody plays cricket. in a Western world, it's football, right?
Yeah.
So football means different game itself in Europe as well as in US. In football in Europe means what they call it as soccer in US, and then football means in US means what we call the rest of the world calls as American football.
Yeah.
But then the common theme for all these games when we are young, so we don't go and go to the field to compete, to win,
Yeah.
right? So we don't have strategies, we don't have data, we don't have a lot of people analyzing your game and then giving you suggestions and stuff like that when you are young and when you start. The very reason you go to the game, to the field, is to express yourself,
Yep.
enjoy yourself, and have lots of fun,
Yep.
right? In the process, you enjoy and you learn a lot, and then slowly and steadily you improve your game and then become ready to play at a much higher level where all those strategies and data and analytics and everything comes, and game becomes more and more science than art, right? So that's how exactly my journey started in Quest Global. The first 10 years of my journey was like I'm in the football match and going there, expressing myself, learning a new trick, one or two new tricks every single game, not worried about winning or losing or who is the opponent, whether I've fallen down, whether I've gonna injured myself. You know, all these things did not matter. All it mattered was go there, express yourself, and enjoy. Your time out in the field.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what I did, and that helped a lot because the mind was completely open. There was no preconceived ideas or notions. We have to play this game in this particular way. We have to win the game. There
Yeah.
is no pressure of anything at all, and that's how I think I learned a lot about the game of or the business, like engineering services business for that matter.
Yeah.
If you compare out that, and that's how. It has helped me in the early days of and in the quest. In the process, I think I've added some value to the organization as
Absolutely.
well,
Absolutely.
and that has helped the organization as well as myself. And that's how my journey started
Awesome.
in Quest, Rahul.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Shrikant, for sharing this. And my takeaway from this anecdote that you just shared is probably going there and having fun, enjoying your time. Because if you enjoy your time, probably that work is not even work. That's your life
Absolutely,
that you
absolutely.
that
Yeah,
you love. So I mean, building high performance teams again. So the main thing or the main word here is probably teams. And for teams, you would need people,
absolutely.
right? And there are lots of different kinds of people. That's the most complex thing that is available or is there in this world. So what do you think, like, intent of a person to be involved as much as you are is important for a relationship or a team to grow? You gave an example of football or cricket. I mean, if intent of winning is not there, do you think the team will perform well, or is there some other intent? Is there your teammate should be the first one you should care about, and then think about the vision or the destination later? What do you think about intent in a relationship?
Yeah, I want to. It's a great question, Rahul, and I would like to give a couple of anecdotes over here.
Absolutely.
Right,
Yeah.
you talked about building a high performance team.
Yeah. Yeah.
The team doesn't get formed from the day one, right? So every organization, every team of a particular game, a football game for
Right.
that matter, everybody has got intent to hire superstars,
Yeah.
right? And in an organization like Quest, we hire smart people, and we are all smart people, right? So in this we have 17,500 smart
Smart
people.
people.
So the very fact that we are working for Quest Global, that means we are smart, right? So, but then the team doesn't get formed overnight. So we are, as a leader and as a leader as well as a team member, we always need to have a little bit of a patience. There's a process to build the team,
Yeah.
and then whether you intentionally do it or not, it follows that process. And then in simplicity, it's a forming of the team,
Yeah.
once you form the team, there'll invariably there'll be storming. It's called four-step process: forming, storming, norming, and performing. And it starts with forming the team, and when we form the team, so we all pick very good, great guys. But then, do they, all these great guys, come together and find their spots? So, in any game, each player has got a particular role to play. But then it
Yeah.
doesn't happen that even though you have designed the organization structure, oh, this person is good at this person is good at this, but then it doesn't happen that everybody finds their place from the day one. That's where the process of storming comes into picture.
Right.
And then some people think, I'm not in the right place, the other guy is not in the right place, and all these frictions do happen. And over a period of time, how open the each team members are, and then how open the leader is, depending on those things, whether this storming session is happens to a few days, few
Yeah.
weeks, or few months. And once that storming happens, automatically there is sudden norming process happens, right? People are, everybody finds their place, which I'm a central forward,
Midfield.
I'm a whatever the roles
Yeah.
are. So they assume that role, and then they get better at that particular role. Once
Yeah.
then norming happens, this is the rules of this particular team.
Yeah.
So this person does this, another person does another thing, and stuff like that. And once that happens, slowly we get into kind of a performing, and that performance will not peak from the day one. So the point I'm trying to make is, it is very important for the team members as well as the team leader. It's to realize the team doesn't start performing to its potential from the day
Day one.
one.
Yep.
So we all have to realize and recognize that fact and give it a time. So
Yep.
there's a famous quote that, give time, right? So I think that that's the whole process, and then it happens over a period of time. And then you're talking about intent, right?
Yep.
So everybody, the basic assumption I have at least is, and everybody else to have is, we are all smart people. We hire smart people, and everybody has got great intent of making great things for themselves, for the organization, for the larger society as the entire mankind. And that's
Perfect.
intent is already there, right?
Yep.
And then that intent alone won't result into great things. So once you have the intent, and you have to have intensity. The second part of is intensity,
Yep.
and the third one is implementation. So you have to have the right intent, and then you have to show the intensity to get things done, to implement those intent. So all these three things will go hand in hand, and then finally you get results. The whole building high performance team is a whole process. As I said, it's forming, storming, norming, and performing. The trust plays a very important role.
Right.
Just imagine,
Right.
in a game of football, when the ball is being passed.
Yeah.
So it's a team game, and we as a business, we are in a team game, and no individual genius can produce absolutely fantastic results in our business.
Yeah.
It's all about how much our genius you are. You need a team to produce that, and each one of them have got a particular role to play in that
Absolutely.
particular team. and and,
Absolutely.
and trust plays a very important role. Oh, I
Absolutely.
got your back, don't worry, just go forward, and then pass the ball to me, and then I'll play the goal, or I'll pass it on to you and another
Absolutely.
person. So that trust is very important, and that
Perfect.
trust doesn't get built over a period of over immediately.
Yep.
It takes over a period of time. In any relationship, we are all human beings, and
Absolutely.
it takes time to build trust. And once we
Absolutely.
have a trust built with the smart people, and they all go out, express themselves, and have a lot of fun, then results will automatically come. You
Absolutely.
don't have to push for results, and then results will automatically come. We'll have to focus on the fundamental building blocks rather than the final results itself. Final results is the end goal. It will come eventually. But then I think, as a team building, as a leader, or as a team member, we need to focus on that fundamental building blocks, Rahul.
Perfect.
That's my view.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Shrikant. Thank you. As you said, Again, I am having some amazing time just listening to you and taking away my notes. So you said give time, right? That's, I mean, I think my takeaway from this is give time. I will be more patient as a person after this interview, I think. But anyways, so you rightly said that people are smart in Quest because we have questions already coming in. But I'm sorry I didn't say it out loud enough. Please post in your questions, and we'll be taking them very shortly. And thank you. Some people are already doing that, so thank you for that. So stay tuned here. All right, moving on. I think we'll take one question from the people that are listening to us. Again, high performance comes from greatly aligned teams, right? And what are your thoughts that how do we align teams when we have members coming from different backgrounds, different experiences, different personalities? I once remember that we talked about faces that we wear in our lives, right? And you had an interesting take on that. So how what do you think? Any thoughts on how do we align a perfect team for that matter when they are coming from different backgrounds and experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're in a great place as Quest Global. We are all working for Quest Global, and it's a absolutely fantastic, truly global organization.
Mhm.
And fortunately, my role is very global in nature. So, as part of my role, I travel the world, get to meet people from different countries, different cultural backgrounds, different thought process and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But one thing I've realized, with my experience, people are people. Okay, at the core, all human beings have some intrinsic motivations and intrinsic requirements,
mhm,
right?
yeah,
So I think you said it right. We all wear different faces, but then ultimately at the core we are all human beings, and then
right,
I think that's what is important. um, but the difference is, the interesting point is, we're all wired differently,
absolutely,
right? We're
yeah,
absolutely
absolutely,
wired differently. And that's what makes life more and more fun. Just imagine if everybody around us looks same, act same, behave same, eat the same food, speak the same language, and do everything same. It would be absolutely boring, and then we would not learn anything new
absolutely,
out there.
yeah,
So what makes it different is each individual thinks differently,
mhm,
acts differently, behaves differently, speaks different language, and that's what makes life much different. And that's how the best comes out of it.
yep,
If the whole world is going thinking in one direction and going in one direction, it's not going to work. No. We'll have to challenge each other,
yep,
viewpoint, and that's when, why is it this way? Why these flowers are arranged this way? Why can't we do it in a slightly different way? And
right,
just that healthy discussion is very important. So as I said, we hire, with the basic assumption that we all are smart people.
absolutely,
My in the last 10 to 15 years, I have used something called as a relationship triangle to
oh,
successfully build and align teams, and then direct them into producing great results. Okay,
right,
and that relationship triangle has got 5 levels.
yeah,
The fundamental level of that triangle is the relationship. It starts
right,
with relationship. The next one is trust. The third one is vision. The fourth one is strategy, and the final one is action. And sometimes we, as leaders and teams, makes mistake that when there is a problem, we jump into solution and jump into action. But in our business, Rahul, we don't have any other asset. People are the only assets we have. And as I said, each individual thinks and wired differently and thinks differently. So the solution is outcome of different people thinking differently, and
right,
the action is that outcome as well. So there's no point in jumping into action right away. What we need to fix and realize is that, fundamental building block of relationship and trust.
right,
So I think it takes time to build a relationship, and we have to give a time for, to build a relationship. That could be in our personal life or professional life.
right,
Within the professional life, That could be within our team, within the extended team of whether it's delivery, sales, all other enabler functions, um, whatever, and our customers from that matter. Everybody is a human being. How do we build a relationship, a meaningful working relationship with them? And I'm sure the relationships emerge when you understand each other. What is the intrinsic motivation? What you have, what are your hobbies? Where you are coming from, because each one has got their story to tell,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And then my story is different from your story. So you come from different background, I come from different background. If I understand what is your background and what you're and then I will be able to understand why you are talking what you're talking, and
Absolutely.
similarly vice versa as well.
Yeah.
So one simple example is, I personally I studied in my English is not my first language,
Yeah.
right? I studied in my local language, which is called Kannada, up to my 10th grade, and I struggled to speak English until I graduated my engineering, right? So if you pick my grammatical mistakes today, you might, if you don't understand my English is not my first language,
Mm.
you might pick my grammatical mistakes. But then if you understand that, then you will say, okay, that's okay. But what
Yeah.
is important is, if I understand what is Shrikant is trying to
Yeah.
communicate,
Yeah.
that's good, rather than I worry about his grammatical mistakes and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
it's important for the relationships to understand where people are coming from and why they are talking what they are talking. And once
Absolutely.
the chemistry matches, once the team dynamics forms, then it helps us to build trust on each other.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
I can, I have a great relationship with Rahul or somebody else. I can trust, and Rahul can trust me, vice versa as well. And that's an awesome start. So just imagine people with great relationship and great trust, and then they can all come together and create a common vision.
Yep.
So in this particular case, it's not Ajit's vision, it's not anybody else's vision, but it's our vision as a team. There will be a lot of my skin in the game. So, and now I'm not worried about that. If three steps are formed, so the smart people having a great relationship, smart people trusting each other,
Right.
and smart people coming together having a common vision.
Right.
I'm not worried about the strategy. I'm not worried about the actions, because these smart people have common vision, they have a great relationship, they have a great trust. They will formulate the strategy, they will formulate, take the actions.
Right.
Sometimes strategy goes wrong, sometimes actions go wrong, but then so these are a very cohesive team. They trust each other, they have a common vision, they can change the strategy, they can change the actions. Absolutely fantastic, no problem, because there's a common vision. So this fundamental building block is very very important of the first three elements: relationship, trust, and vision. And that's what we need to focus on to build that. It takes time, it doesn't happen overnight.
Does that.
And
Yeah.
then Quest is a very tolerant company, so Quest Global for that matter, excuse me. So and then and then our customers are also, if you look at our customer portfolio, we have kind of a lot of long-term relationship,
Absolutely.
long cycle, long product development cycles. So the knowledge of generational knowledge of products was very very important. We're in the engineering space, and that's why we can afford to give time to create that high performance team, and which has got great relationship, great trust, vision, and stuff like that. And then we can scale very very significantly out there, and then produce absolutely fantastic results for ourselves as well as for our customers. Again,
Perfect.
some
Yeah.
thing is, give time to build relationship, give time to build trust, and then come together and create a great vision.
Give
So
time.
time,
Time.
yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Shrikant, this is absolutely amazing. I mean, you touched upon something called motivation, right? Motivation and motivating teams. And if people are there in a team, they want to get motivated. So my question to you is, I would want to know that, do you think rewards or any kind of credits that people are due should be given at the correct time? And is do we actually worry about rewards? Do we actually, is that the only motivator that people should have in a team? Or what kind of motivation are we even talking about when we are in a team?
It's a very very deep question, right? The reason is, uh, what do you call it as motivation?
Yeah.
What do you call it? How do what is reward? Right? There's no single definition, and you can talk about um, many things when it comes to motivates. What motivates me
Uh-huh.
may not motivate you, and
Right.
vice versa. And there are hundreds of people out there, so
Absolutely.
everybody's motivation is different,
Yeah.
right? Somebody gets motivated with the money, somebody gets motivated with a pat on the back, somebody who gets motivated with like a trip to Disneyland, right? Somebody gets motivated something else, right? I think it's important to understand what motivates who. And fortunately, there are scientific methodologies can be used that as well. So
Okay.
I've recently started using a tool called PI, Predictive Index,
Okay.
and this is the technology used in U.S. Army for like several decades and perfected it. And then there is one they ask few questions and you answer that, and there's a whole analysis of your personality and things like that and throws up. And then one element of this is what is the motivating factors for you, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty accurate, from that perspective. But then if you are a good a leader, a people leader, you will and if you understand your people
Yeah.
deeply enough, you will understand their motivation, where they get motivated, right?
Right.
For example, and then it changes, motivation changes as
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
grow in your life as well. you know when I was young, a young engineer in Quest Global, my motivation was the monthly paycheck what I get. I would work every day to get paid by the last day of the month in Quest Club, right? And over a period of time, when I stabilized that, um, uh, so that monthly paycheck was not my motivation, biggest motivation. And then I was waiting for yearly annual variable pay payout. That's a reasonably big chunk of money. That was
Right.
my motivation. I
Right.
would
Right.
come every single day. Of course, the monthly paycheck is important, but then more than that, the reasonably good chunk of money I would expect at the end of the year. Of course, it depends on how the organization does, how I have performed as individual, so on and so forth. But that was my motivation. And after some point in time, I said, oh, this is also stabilized. So now I will concentrate on long-term wealth creation. So which
Right.
would come as a part of employee stock options, right? So then I started working on that. And once that has happened, I might someday, at some point in time, my motivation is come to office and have lots of fun. I work for fun, So
Yeah.
solving complex engineering problem, making this world a better place. Do involve myself into CSR and then help people get better education and make
Yeah.
these underprivileged kids study and be better at in great do great in their life. So the motivation is very important. But
Right.
then that finding out what motivates who is the responsibility of
A leader.
the leader.
Yep.
Okay, and I think we can use the scientific methodology, but then you can also need to develop that keen eye on what motivates who. It's
Yeah.
not only motivation, what puts off somebody as well,
Yeah.
right? So
Absolutely.
that is also it's very important. A keen observation of people and the situations is very important. And sometimes, you know, a lot of chunk of money may not motivate people. Sometimes a simple pat on the back motivates people. I'll give you a very simple example out there. Um, when I was building Rolls Royce relationship long time ago, um, so we were working for Rolls Royce UK,
Mhm.
and India as a country did not have any expertise or experience in developing, designing and developing aero engines. So
Okay.
we had to build the capability along with our customers. And one of the techniques we used is we hired smart engineers and sent them to UK, to Derby or Bristol, up to 6 months process familiarization training. And then many of these engineers never stepped outside of India, and then they go to UK and
Uh-huh.
they are super excited, and then so done lot of different things which they have never done in their life.
Yep.
And then they come back and then talk about it. You know, India is a relatively hot country, and then you go to UK, cold weather, beautiful grass, and landscapes and fantastic things, right? So for the next 6 months, the only way when somebody is a little bit of a low on their morale, hey, I pat my arm around their shoulder and say, hey, how was the weather in UK? And they get super excited and explains the weather and differences and stuff like that. That itself has become a motivation. So it's different for different people, but then it's important. Understanding that motivation, understanding what they think as reward is important, and continuing that practice
Yeah.
over a period of time is very, very important, Rahul.
Absolutely. That's a great thought. That's a great thought on motivation. I think Shrikant, people would want to ask. There are so many leaders over here who have literally learned leadership on the job, right? So there are training programs where people can understand how and what are their kind of leadership styles, and also understand themselves at the end of the day using those tools. So probably, what is your advice to emerging leaders or managers? Should they be using these techniques, or probably they should learn it more on the job and getting the relationship thing going on probably with their people, or is basically the tools are really important for?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely important, Rahul. So
Okay.
these interventions and tools and science can only accelerate our process of leadership
Yeah.
and building high performance teams out there.
Mhm.
You know, because you know if one wants to learn everything through their own experiences,
Mhm.
you can never be reach the pinnacle. I mean, you'll never reach the pinnacle, but then you'll never make progress
Yeah.
as fast as you want to, because there is only X amount of time, finite amount of time you have. And then it's important to learn from others' success as well as mistakes. And a lot of research has been taking place in terms of leadership and how to fast forward the teaming and build high performance teams and stuff like that. So you can absorb all those things,
Right.
but then
Right.
whatever the learning from that can only be an academic exercise. The knowledge doesn't equal to performance. Today, everybody has got knowledge at their fingertips. You just to go to internet, Google or Chat GPT, you will have ton of knowledge and solution. But just by reading that, you won't become a good practitioner,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You have to adopt that and you have to implement that. Sometimes you have to forcefully implement that. Okay.
Right.
In my experience, I have found out anything new you learned will not you'll not retain it unless otherwise you apply that in within 1 week, if not maximum 2 weeks. The chances of retention of that knowledge and nuances is very low if you don't apply that. And sometimes what I do is, so when I learn something, this is great, I'm going to use that. And next 1 week, I don't get an opportunity to use that at all. And when in that case, I forcefully create a situation and apply that learning. And then once you do that, it's very, very it will be stuck in your mind and you'll start practicing more and more out there. It's like this. I'll give you an example, Rahul. Say for example, you bought an new car,
Right.
right? Whatever the car you are, and then the moment you bought a new car, you start driving, you will start spotting that model of the car
Every.
hundreds of the times everywhere in
That's
the
so
road.
true.
Until then, the same cars were flying on the road, you
Yeah,
did not even notice them,
that's true,
right?
though.
That's exactly what the learning experience is. When you learn and you start practicing that, you'll start seeing that cascading effect and multiplying effect out there. So it's very, very important to identify those interventions, what you need in terms
Yeah.
of tools and technologies for leadership and high performance teams. But then it's important to learn them, more important to apply them, and then improvise on them
Perfect.
for our own circumstances.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. And I think the person who has asked this question, thank you so much for dropping in. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in and dropping in and asking questions to Shrikant. It's an amazing time again. All right, the next question is pretty deep. I mean, You told that my other question was deep, but this is more deeper, I believe. Did you ever experience the lowest point in your life? And if you can disclose, what was that, and how did you overcome it? And what was the role of the organization, probably the team, the manager, the HR, or anybody who, during that phase of your life? Can you share some more thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Before that, I want to uh, um, point out one thing.
Yeah.
So I already half a century. I'm already half a century old, right? And then the good news is I do not have any regrets in life. Okay,
Okay.
so I think it's pretty good, right? So
That's good.
somebody in their 50s doesn't have regrets in life. I think it's pretty good. So as it is, everybody's life is ups and downs, whether it's personal life, professional life. Um, you know so everybody's life is ups and downs. So um, and then, as usual, I'm a common human being, and I have gone through my emotions in a personal life, professional life. In the personal life, I have gone through a lot of tough times when I was very, very young. It started between my age of 15 to 25. I went through a lot of hardships. I had some personal losses, a lot of medical emergencies and stuff like that. I had to go through a hell lot of things, which made me very, very strong, because I've seen life from the close quarters, and then it made me very strong mentally, right? I may not be physically, but mentally it made me very strong. From the professional perspective, I think there was a lot of ups and downs as anybody else. But one important thing is to have one or two or three people who you trust as your genuine well-wishers. It could be your manager, it could be your peer group, or whoever it is, to trust who are your genuine well-wishers, and then express yourself, seek intervention, seek help, and that will make, if you express your feelings, that makes you light, and then now you're taken away your burden from your head, and then your head is much clearer, and
Yeah.
your ability to think is much better. And then also, as you're expressing your trusted people, because they're genuinely interested in your well-being, they will give you a frank opinion, or idea of how to overcome this and stuff like that. Please, the biggest mistake one can do is to keep all those difficult things and sorrows in your own head and heart, and suffer monumentally. And then there are good chances that if you keep it for a longer time, you go into depression, and then it's a downward spiral at that point in time.
Right.
Instead of that, find those people ahead of time, and then go and express them. So sometimes we always feel that, okay, if I express my problems, my feelings, people think I'm a weak person.
Yeah.
So, and because of that, we don't express, suffer within ourselves, and that is a downward swirl, and then it's going to extremely difficult to come out of it, and then progress from there. So
Right.
it's very important to find those people, express your feelings, and then get advice. And then that's what it is. And I have done always like that. So people like Ajay Prabhu is my sounding board. Always, and then many others, I would always go to them, express my feelings, and then some of these guys are absolutely fantastic people in my life. They would give me a patient hearing. I may be blabbering something. I may be completely wrong in my thinking, but they would not, discourage me to stop it, and then pull me up and pull me out and stuff like that. They'll give me a patient hearing to me, and then calm my nerves down, and then think about, okay, have you thought this problem from this perspective, have you thought from other perspective. When different perspective comes, that's where, you remember, each
Yeah.
individual is wired differently.
Yep. Yep.
That's where the different perspective comes in, and then that's where a lot of problems get solved very, very quickly. So it's very, very important to have sounding boards, and express
Yeah.
to them
Yeah. Yeah.
from that.
All right. All right. So be vulnerable is your mantra. I think. Yeah,
Absolutely,
vulnerable.
absolutely.
Yeah, perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, let's talk about a new team, a new client. Everything is new. You're setting up the team for the first time, and you have new people, new young people, or rather freshers who are pretty much excited to join a new company. How do you build rapport? Otherwise, if probably there's a team who have a few experienced people who some of them are very new but full of excitement and full of life. How do you build rapport with a new team or a new client? Is there something different that you would do, or probably it's the same thing because end of the day they're all people?
Well, I would like to tell you a little bit of a story here.
Okay.
Okay, so it's an interesting story. As I said before joining Quest Global, I was teaching in the university. Okay,
Right.
my first job as a teacher, I was teaching automotive engineering at that point in time.
Mhm.
You know, um, and then I was given a class of students, final year automobile engineering, and in that college, that particular class was very notorious. These students were like pretty naughty, and they would trouble the professor, and then they are not behaving well in the
Right.
class, and they gave me this class. And I was pretty young, just out of university and college, and probably I was like a couple of years older than these students, right? And then everybody warned me, oh, you are going to have a tough time dealing with this students because they are pretty naughty and they're tough on the professor. I said, okay, let me go there. And I went to the class, and I I did not. I think it was a class of 30 people or something like that, and everybody's looking at me. Oh, what this young kid as a professor can do, right? And then I did not start my. I introduced myself.
Right.
I spoke about myself for a few minutes. They were not impressed because I did not have a lot of things to boast about me. Um, and then I did not start my teaching, so to speak, immediately. The first 2 hours of 1 hour each, I spent time asking the students to express themselves and introduce themselves, who they are, what interests them, why are they taking up automotive engineering, what they want to achieve, and stuff like that. It's all about them. It's nothing about me. Okay, it's all about them. And then I gave them an opportunity, and then there was a little bit of a hesitation to start off with. I encouraged them, and then over a period of next 2 hours, everybody introduced themselves. And then now there are a little bit more ice is broken. There's a little bit more
Yeah.
free thing among ourselves. Each one of us know each other, and so on and so forth. And the third hour onwards, I started slowly but steadily introducing them to the concepts of automotive engineering and some special. I don't remember. I was teaching some them drivetrains or whatever,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay.
And then I would not continuously, teaching. I made it very, very interactive, and I gave an opportunity for them to, talk and so on and so forth. And then sometimes I kind of now that I know everybody by their name, their background, and their what interests them and stuff like that, I would pick them up and then, hey, what do you think about this? This is how clutch works. What do you think about this, right? So what is your opinion about this, and stuff like that. And slowly but very quickly, slowly but steadily, so people started engaging,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
in conversations, and they want to participate. And once that happened, the whole atmosphere in the class was very, very different, and I learned a great lesson. And then over a period of time, so we became very friendly. These guys were, very attentive, participating, learning, and I got a fantastic results at the end of the year. My HOD, head of the department, or principals were very, very happy, and I kind of used that technique and then improvised upon that. Is inclusivity in the build,
Yeah.
when you take the new team, make sure everybody understand everybody to an extent. What is their motivation, what they want to do in their life, what is the specialization, what they can bring to the table, what turns them on, what puts them off, and stuff like that. It's very, very important to spend a little bit of a time understanding each other. And then once that group belongingness is built, People are very free, comfortable expressing each other. And then there will be, as I said, there will be disagreements, there will be fights, but then we're not fighting against each other. We're fighting only for that particular issue.
Right.
And once that issue is solved, we're all friends together. We'll have coffee together. We'll have drink together. We'll have a lot of fun. And then we together have lots of fun solving complex engineering problems. I think that's what it is. Knowing each other, what is they're good at, what is their motivation, and then what they can bring to the table.
Perfect. Perfect. I think that's absolutely well put. But what about those 1 in 100 kind of a ratio? I mean, the most difficult ones. How do you deal with them?
So you mean difficult people?
Difficult people, probably. I don't know.
Well, well, it's fun, In my mind, there is nothing called difficult people. Okay. So only thing is people are wired differently. Each one of us are wired differently. Each one of us is think differently.
Yeah.
Just because they ask tough questions, they're not difficult people. It's just because
Right.
they're coming from a different viewpoint.
Right.
So I'll give you an engineering example. Many of us are engineers, and each one of I don't know how many of us look at it. Have studied engineering drawing,
Yeah, yeah. Me.
right?
Yeah.
So engineering drawing, and a lot of us hated it, and many of us
Yeah.
loved it. As I loved engineering drawing, okay, but then many of us hated this as well. Then so engineering drawing has got like first angle projection, third angle projection, and so on and so forth, right? And there's a front view, there's a top view, there's a side view.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So many times we look at people from only one view, right? So for example, if I take this, Rahul, people say this is the kind of a cylinder.
This is a cylinder. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So this is from the one view. So if I put it this way, it's a circle, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at people also from one direction, they can be difficult, they can be soft, they can be dumb, they can be intelligent and stuff like that. But then, so top view or front view or side view alone will not define an object. The object is best viewed in a perspective view. If I give you this view and the front view and the side view and the top view, and then you will have a perspective of this particular object, and you will appreciate this object much more. The same way, people also has to be viewed from a perspective. So whether it's in a front view or a top view or a side view, you can always think is a difficult guy, is a dumb guy, intelligent guy, emotional person, whatever. I think we need to look at from the perspective. Then our perception about these people, sometimes changes. And a lot of times, I love so-called difficult people because that's where they bring a lot of new things into real world, and I love that.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shrikant. All right, let's talk about risks because if there are teams, there will be risks. And I just wanted to know, we tend to say that please take calculated risks. We have to take calculated risks and stuff like that. Do you think there is something called calculated risk, or risk is just a risk? And how often have you taken any risk which has resulted into great results? And that was your belief on that idea or anything. I mean, risk at the end of the day, what are your thoughts about it?
I mean, life is always full of risk, right? The personal life or professional life, and you can choose not to take risk, or you can choose to take risks, and then it's up to each individual, right? And if you don't take risk, if you choose not to take risk, that's your decision, right? And then you can play safe, and then you don't take risky path in your professional life or personal life, and then your the progress you make, the growth you experience is limited at that point in time. At the same time, so you can take really high risk and then go very fast. The chances of you crashing is very high, right? So I think So calculated risk is very, very important.
Okay.
What does it mean by calculated risk?
Yeah.
So calculated risk is nothing but knowing the pros and cons
Okay.
of whatever you do. And that's very, very important.
Yeah.
Okay, if I did this, these are the pros and these are the consequences, right? That is very, very important. Once you know that, you can make a decision. Okay, these are the pros, these are the cons, and these are the risk associated. These are the mitigation for those risk assessment. These are the residual risk I'll still carry if I go forward, knowing that. And once you make the decision, you go full on with
Right.
that,
Right.
because you have a little bit of a risk mitigation as well. Whether in your career path, whether in your engineering projects or whatever, we all do some certain projects, right? And then we have certain risks because we assume these certain things happen and that may not happen. That's a risk, and then we will not be able to deliver that on schedule,
Yeah.
on cost, and so on and so forth. You define that, take the action plan, and then go forward. Sometimes things go completely wrong, against our expectation, and
Yeah.
then what do you do? And then how do you respond to that spontaneously, and stuff like that? That's what comes to picture. And if you look at it, lot of very successful individuals, in their grown in their business, in their life, and stuff like that, they have taken a lot of risks, but then they have to take a calculated risk as well. So just imagine, Quest Global itself. Ajit, 1997, he founded this company, and he went to US. Ajit and Arvind had a nice paying job in a nice brands of companies. They took the risk of coming out of those companies and starting this company. This is called Quest Global. And then that was the biggest risk, but it was a calculated risk. And then because they're taken at that risk, calculated risk, so we are where we are. And you and I are sitting together and talking about that. Otherwise, we would not be. If Ajit and Arvind played safe,
Yeah.
they would have continued in their jobs, and we would not be sitting here, and the people who are in the call wouldn't be listening in as well.
Perfect. 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 Thank you so much, Shrikant. Thank you. So when are we going to see you as Dr. Shrikant Naik? Can you talk about the PhD in digital manufacturing?
Yeah. So that's a little bit of I was over ambitious. When I started my journey of my PhD, doctoral program a few years ago. It was during a COVID time, and then somehow I got really excited about. I mean, I always wanted to do a doctoral program, and but then during COVID, I got an opportunity to enroll for the doctoral program, and I had to give a entrance examination. After 20 plus years, I'm writing an examination. But then, to be frank, mechanical engineering hasn't changed a whole lot, in 20 years. So
Right.
I was able to crack it through, and then done that. But then real PhD is a very intense program. Okay,
Right.
it is not a joke. It's a very intense program, and it is it needs a lot of dedication in terms of time. But then unfortunately, not being able to dedicate so much of time, my guide is extremely mad at me. So I'm at the crossroads yet at this point in time. I don't know whether I'll continue, to get and to finish the program and get a PhD and get a doctorate or not. To be frank, I'm actually at the crossroads at this point in time.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't know which way it'll go.
Okay. Okay. Well, congratulations, and that's a big feat. Anyways, we would like to see you as Dr. Shrikant very soon. All right. Probably we have like 5, 6 minutes of time. I wanted to ask you this: that what do you think about retention of people? How do you? I mean, if you can share some suggestion on retention of people and team members. Some people would want to part ways with a team for a very long time they have been a part of. So how do you take it, and what is the suggestion that you would probably?
Absolutely. I think retention is very, very important for any of the organization. At the same time, 100% retention is also not good, right? So I think there needs to be a small amount of attrition so that we can bring the people have a lot of aspirations in their life, right?
Yeah.
And Quest Global is a nice, fast growing company, a very global company. So we have a lot of avenues to fulfill people's aspirations,
Right.
to grow and to do different things and retain them and then still have to grow them. But then we may not be able to excuse me, fulfill everybody's aspirations. So in that case, we have to let them go and chase their aspirations.
Right.
Ultimately, I want my people to do well, irrespective of whether they continue with me with Quest Global or not. Right?
Right.
As I say, once they're a question, they're always a questions, right? Irrespective of whether they work here or not. So it's very, very important to have that kind of a mindset. And with that mindset, go all out in developing them, right? So in my thing people management philosophies, there are three important things: connect, develop, and inspire.
Right.
So we need to connect with the people, we need to develop with the people and inspire them. And a lot of these young engineers or experienced engineers, they want to be kept busy and challenged, right? So if they're not busy, that's a fundamental way of retaining people, is to keep them busy and challenged. If they're not busy, if they're not challenged, world has got so much opportunities for them. Smart engineers or smart any professionals,
Right.
they will go and chase their dreams somewhere else. That's the fundamental things. The second thing is to identify what their motivations are. And as I said in the past, everybody's motivation is very, very different. We need to understand that motivations and aspirations and create a roadmap to fulfill that motivation and aspirations. And IDP within Quest Global is a fantastic tool. Each one of them can express themselves through an individual developmental plan. And then the manager and leader has to take keen interest on developing this IDP along with the individuals,
Right.
and making sure the IDP is progressed. And once that is done, it's very important. Where it becomes much more important.
Right. Right.
And as an organization, we are putting a lot of efforts to grow people.
Yeah.
And as they grow people, as they kept busy and they're challenged, they fulfill their motivations, they fulfill their aspirations, they have no need to look out for outside and do that. But then it's not possible all the time. Some
Yeah.
people will still go, that's okay. And then some people, a lot of people will go out and then come back, and that's
Yeah.
that's also good. They are much better and much more experienced people. So that's how I look at retention, and it's very, very important subject.
Perfect.
No, I
Perfect.
mean, not just money will not retain people,
Right. Right.
because that's could be one of the parameters. Or sometimes people leave organization, not for money as well. So the one important thing is, last thing is about retention. Lot of times people leave their immediate managers
Mhm.
rather than people leave the organization.
Mhm.
So as people leaders, we have to be cognizant of that fact and then take care of our people, be fair to people and take care of them and their aspirations.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Thank you, Shrikant, for summing it up so well. On the last thought, first of all, fill up your IDPs. All right. So, on the last thoughts, how do you stay ahead of your competition?
Well, who is your competition?
Yeah, how would you know that?
The,
I mean,
so I have a minute. So when I was a long time ago, I was driving on a highway, and I drive reasonably fast.
okay.
And then somebody tries to overtake me, and in Indian roads, busy highways, it's very difficult to overtake, right? So there's no structured rules and regulations people don't follow. And that in that case, how do you do that? And then this guy was irritating me, tried to overtake me. And then after some time, I go fast, and this guy comes in here. And then I was trying to compete with him.
Uh-huh.
And after some time, what happened is my blood pressure has gone up and I'm not making progress. He's overtaking me, nor I am overtaking him. And then I think, why am I competing with him? Instead, I will compete with myself.
Yeah.
And the question I'll be asking myself is, am I putting my best as an individual, as an organization? Is this my best efforts? Is this my best results?
Yeah.
And invariably answer is no. And let us compete with ourselves, bring the best out of ourselves as individuals, as organizations.
Yeah.
Nobody can stop us, and we can be really be very healthy, mentally as well, because we are not competing with them, anybody else. We're
Yeah,
competing with ourselves, and if we do our best, nobody can compete with us.
absolutely.
Let's keep that focus.
Absolutely. I think this session is amazing, and I think I would want to ask you a lot of questions. I want to continue this conversation, but I think the time doesn't permit us. But thank you so much for people who have joined us. There are 398 attendees. Absolutely jam-packed house. Thank you so much for joining us on time. And any last thoughts? Any last thoughts that you would want everybody joining us, the new
No, I mean,
people?
my simple philosophy is this, guys, everybody, right? So we are all smart people. That's the fundamental assumptions, and that's true, right? And some smart people produce great results, and other smart people produce ordinary results.
Yeah.
And why is that so? My philosophy is smart people coming together has a lot of fun, solving complex engineering problems, will produce great results.
Right.
So and people who don't have a lot of fun produce ordinary results. So my message to you is all of us let's have lots of fun,
Let's have lots of
in the office, outside the office, in generally in life. And when we have lots of fun, we will produce great results for ourselves, for people around us, for the entire world. And so don't forget to have fun, and spread that fun to everybody else around us as well. And nobody can stop us in producing great results and make this world a better place. And that will be my message.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Shrikant. On that note, we are going to end this fireside chat with Shrikant. And if you guys want a part two of this, because I know there are a lot of questions which are unanswered, and I would also want to ask so many questions with him. Please go ahead and watch this as well. And on that note, thank you, Shrikant, for taking your time out, for talking to me and talking to a lot of people over here. I think people will leave out from here inspired, and they would want to do more and achieve more in life and otherwise as well. Thank you so much for joining in, guys. Thank you so much, Shrikant.
Thanks, Rahul. Thank you
Thank
for having me here
Thank you
today.
so
Thank
much.
you.